All right, so welcome to another video. Today we're going to be installing a Fleximounts 4 foot by 4 foot, 300-pound capacity shelf in the garage. So this has ability to raise and lower. Let's go ahead and jump into the video and show you how the install went, and then show it working at the end. All right, so now we've got all the parts out. Let's go ahead and do a quick inventory of what's here, and then let's go ahead and get the assembly started. Excuse some of the mess, got some other car parts getting ready to be installed, but we have our main axle. We have our supporting bars for the wire mesh, the bottom piece. We have our raising and lowering, our hand crank, two ceiling brackets with pulleys, and then we have our associated hardware. I went ahead and took the item number G out, just to put the washers on them already. Anyways, we got 16 of those. We have our other items. I went ahead and did the inventory off camera, but all of them are here, and I've got them kind of out and staged as I'm going to be needing them on the project. Then down here we have our wire platform. So we'll get that unfolded here in just a second. And then we have our installation template. So this installation template, you'll basically unfold it, and then that's basically going to have a spot for each of these 4 brackets to go up. So you can not have to get out tape measures and measure everything else out. You can just pretty much find where your ceiling joists are running. Mine run this way in my house. So I'll go ahead and find one joist, and then I'll measure out 4 foot for my next one, and then that way I can go ahead and get the installation template taped in place, get all my pilot holes drilled, and should be able to get everything placed up. I am going to go ahead and assemble the bottom piece, the frame, before. The instructions call for that to be kind of like step 7, 8, whatever. But I'm just going to go ahead and get that done to free up some space on the workbench and get some of the stuff kind of off to the side and ready. All right, so to get these J-bolts installed, there's really not much to it. You're going to drop the J-bolt through the hole. That way it captures the grid of the fence or of the frame. Go ahead and get your nut on, and just get things snug but not tight at this stage, just to prevent any misalignments down the road. All right, so we've got the J-bolts in. They're just loosely in. They do put a label on this, so this side of the wire deck should face upward. So again, cool. It's going to be going up this way. And again, we just have our 3 in here. It is pretty obvious that you have a larger hole for the actual cable that's going to be raising and lowering, and a smaller hole for the J-bolt. So when you're starting to map this out, and before you lay out anything and drop your ladder in place or anything else, this template has these brackets, and this bracket is going to be what our axle slides into. So you can kind of see it, forgive the mess, but you can kind of see it right here. So this is basically just going to slide in and capture this. So your axle side, meaning what you're going to be actually standing underneath to raise and lower this, is going to be underneath this bracket. So again, I have a car on one side, so I don't want to be standing over there while I'm lowering stuff down. I'd actually rather be standing over here. All right, starting to do the actual layout of where things are going to go. Just keep in mind that you're going to, if you do have these garage door rails on either side or both sides, just make sure you do set yourself inboard of them to make sure you don't hit. So fortunately, one of my joists has a nut or has a bolt going through the end of that hanger. You can kind of see it right there. So I've already confirmed that I do have a joist that runs all the way from there. And then I measured out 4 foot and marked where my joist is on this side. So now I just need to center it up wherever I want it in this little space and tape the template up. All right. So fortunately, I am tall enough that I can pretty much sit on my ladder like this, but I'm not sure I'd recommend everyone else to do the same. Anyways, let's go ahead and get our template laid back out and get it taped up. All right, well, I got the first piece where I want it. All right, so now we've got our piece up. It's being able to be held kind of in place. Next step that we're going to do is go back down to the ground, confirm that these are level, and use our stud finder to double check that our cutout actually is in line with the stud and we're happy with it. Then we'll go ahead and tape the other side up and start drilling our pilot holes. All right, so I do have the template up and taped onto the wall. There are a couple things I want to point out while you're doing this. The axle side, so the side that has this cutout, that's going to be closer to the wall underneath the ladder, that spacing is further outboard of where the ones for these pulleys, where the little crosses are. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second, but make sure that you do space things off a little bit further than you might think you need to. I'm just going to end up shimming or shifting everything by an inch when I start drilling the pilot holes. Not a big deal, but if you're going to use a template, make sure you know how to use your template best, right? This is what I was talking about. So again, here we have our plus side. That's where our pulley is going to be. And then you can see just basically how much further outboard to the outside of things are going to be for that axle. All right, so per the instructions, we're going to drill our pilot holes with a 0.2 inch or a 5 millimeter drill bit. As just a general home DIY guide, I don't have metric drill bits. So if you don't, and you're just going to be using standard or inch systems, 13/64ths, that's within as close as you're going to be able to get out on a standard drill set. That's going to be what you want. It's 0.20 something. So anyways, it's basically 5 millimeters. Yeah, so I'm going to go throw this in the drill and get my holes marked and drilled. All right, so as I mentioned, these little cutouts, these dips in, they line with the template, and that's the way they face. So we can go ahead and get this placed. And actually, I don't need to move anything. I've got plenty of space here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark what the center of these are. Then I should be good to go. All right, so as you can faintly see, zoom in a bit. I just traced out the holes for these brackets. And that way I can just go ahead and pull the template down, get the shop vac and drill all the holes.
All right, so just got the shop vac and the drill together. Try not to make a mess, being that I have the car right next to where I'm doing this, and I don't want a whole lot of drywall dust to get on the car or on the toolbox, so I just got the vacuum up with me. Went pretty quickly, went pretty easily. No issues here.
All right, so we got all of our drills, or all of our holes drilled, and now we just need to go ahead and take this template off. So be very, very careful when you're doing it so you don't take a whole bunch of paint off of your ceiling. Okay, so now we've got all of our holes drilled. All we need to do now is put these brackets back up. They do come with lag bolts to be able to do this, as well as a wrench to be able to do this, and an associated Allen key to be able to spin these in by hand. However, to install this, you're supposed to have your own drill to be able to drill those pilot holes. And if you have a drill, then all you need is a adapter and a 13 millimeter socket. So I'll actually be using my little 1/4 inch impact on a 13 inch or 13 millimeter socket. All right, so before we go ahead and anchor these to the joists, remember this notch faces towards the inside of the shelf, which means this back bracket, that's what the axle assembly is going to slide against and hold it in place. All right, so yeah, we've got all 4 of our brackets up now, hung and in place. Again, make sure that for the axle side, you have the notch facing in. All right, so now we've got the brackets up on the ceiling. Now it's time to mess with this axle, and it should be fairly straightforward to put in. This is what the instructions mean by stretch the axle until both holes are fully exposed. So that's what the hole is. So we're going to use fasteners from B, and I'll probably do it from the bottom this way. All right, so now we're up and go ahead and slide the axle into the bracket. I'm just going to have it kind of held in place for a second. All right, I'll grab the camera real quick and show you what I did. All right, that side is fully fixed. Switch over to the other side. Extending this back into its space.
Just keep in mind that when you're tightening these are fairly small fasteners and they can strip pretty quickly. So get them snug, but not super tight.
All right, those are tight. All right, so now we've got our second letter B bolt through. We're just gonna go ahead and tighten it up. Perfect. And now our axle is installed. It's secure. It's not going anywhere. Perfect. All right, so we've got black on the outside. Just make sure you adjust anything that you need to. That will ensure that it's going to run nice and straight. So I'll have to hold some tension on while I'm getting the platform mounted. And again, black one is on the outside. Up, over, and through. Okay, perfect. All right, so again, I'm doing all this by myself without help. So I've got my ladder lowered down to its lowest height. I have my assembled platform or grid, and all I'm going to do is place it on top of the ladder, which will allow me to go ahead and get some of these fasteners in. All right, let's go ahead and take this ladder out of the way. All right, so now we've got all 4 corners connected. Nothing's properly tensioned or starting to be wrapped or anything else. But I just want to call this out. So when you're putting your grid on your platform pieces, do a better job than I did the first try at holding the equal distance on that side. And really the big part for that is so you can actually get your hardware in there. So right now, I don't have the space, so not a big deal. All right, so now what we've got here, I've confirmed that my black wire is not going to cross. So all I'm going to do now is go ahead and tighten this up. And once that's tightened, then we put our second one on. And once we have our second one on, that is serving as a jam nut to prevent anything else from coming loose. All right, so you've got your handle on. Now's where you need to see if you need to extend or shorten this, depending on how tall people in your home are. and how tall your ceiling is. So we've got 1, 2, and then we have a third spot here. So that corresponds with this additional piece here. So all that's letting us do is, if we need to, further collapse this rod down. And being that my garage is a bit taller, and I'm 6 foot, I'm going to keep this at as long as I can make it. All right, so next step is to raise and lower. One thing before we do that is we do have a safety lock that we do need to disengage. You can do it from the ground, but I'm going to show you kind of what's going on. Yeah, so what we have is just this safety lock that's going to prevent this from spinning. So again, like this can't spin because that lock is in there. So all we're going to do is we're going to put our pole through this triangular slot, and we're going to pull it out, and now we can raise and lower until we're at the desired height. All right, so let's see if I can do this one hand. Perfect. So now we're on it, and now all we're going to do is spin and raise this up into position. I'm going to throw it on a tripod, and we're going to go ahead and raise and lower. I'll have it on time lapse just because I feel this can probably be pretty slow.
Just to give a frame of reference, this video, it's not a time lapse, it is a video, but I have sped it up 8 times faster than what it actually was recorded in. So this is 2 minutes 45 seconds, and it's all sped up extremely fast to show it.
2 minutes 45 seconds to get to this point. So it's 2:45 to go down by hand. Starting in 3, 2, 1, now. All right, so that took 35, 40 seconds, somewhere in there. So yeah, you can definitely guess what I'm gonna be doing. Yep. Anyways, yeah, it works pretty well. It's rated to hold 300 pounds. The black cables that are on it, they're the ones that are actually holding and lifting. The clear coated cable, or just the regular color cable, that's just a safety. There's really no tension on them throughout the whole process. Good to have a safety, especially if something's going to be over top of your head. But yeah, that's really it. All right, so hopefully this video helps you install your own Fleximount rack. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment, and hopefully get them answered for you.